We have to talk about this. All right, guys. So, mentioning Charlie Kirk's security in the last video, I looked at the video again, and I was pretty much focusing or paying attention to how Charlie Kirk's security were moving before and during and after he got hit. And in all three, I guess, sections, if you will, of that shooting, they did almost everything wrong. Outside of them reacting like this, like the speed of light, they almost did everything wrong. Now, I did security for a few years. And now, bouncing doesn't actually constitute security, so X that out. But I did do security at certain event halls. I went to Blackwater and trained in high-risk security and learning how to shoot and move, the whole 9 yards. It was an awesome course. I did executive protection programs before with, again, Blackwater. At the time, they were actually called American Training Center or American Training something. I'll get the correct name. But anyway, they were also known as Blackwater. So I trained executive protection 1, 2, and then high-risk security over down in Moyock, North Carolina. So, U.S. Training Center. Damn, I couldn't remember that to save my life. But anyway, I did all of the training. And everything I was taught with Blackwater or U.S. Training Center, these guys didn't do. Now, these guys, I'm assuming, were military. All of them. Every person in his security detail had to be prior military, just by the way they move, they look. When you watch them walk into the arena, if you will, or the college in the beginning, and other events they've done with him, just the way they move, I'm assuming that they're all military. Interesting thing, guys, is the people are questioning the way they moved right before he got murked, right? And it was the hand signals that were getting a lot of people. That was on social media for about a week. You can go back, but it was trending for about a week or two. And everybody's like, look at this guy, look at that guy. In fact, one of the security guys resembles one of Benjamin Netanyahu's security guard or bodyguard, whatever they are, Secret Service or their version of it. Resembled them, but I wasn't buying it, but it was still in the back of my head. But it was like the whole signal shit was a little odd. And every time I looked at those videos, I'm like, that was kind of odd to sit there, and then the one and touching his hat, and then seconds later, Charlie gets murdered. So there was that red flag. But I can't sit there and go, those are the signals that set it off. I don't know. Maybe the guy had an itchy arm and there was a fly in his... I don't know. I don't want to be staunch on that. I just noticed that, and a lot of us noticed that. But once Charlie Kirk was murked and he started leaning in the chair, the one guy the way he ran over and grabbed him wasn't like a run and grab. It was like a and he grabbed him by the arm and then took him down gently like he was supposed to, but then that was it. Now, this is where the problem lies. Once he was hit, let's walk this back a little bit. When you have a detail like this, and you have somebody like Charlie Kirk was getting death threats all the time. In fact, they started increasing right before this event. And some would say that there was an actual warning that he was going to get shot at this event. That was one of the rumors I was shooting around the internet, that there was a warning, but he was getting more death threats, especially after he started taking a stance against Israel, and that he was changing his view against Israel. So let's start there. Now, when you have a security detail and you have somebody that's a high profile like Charlie Kirk, and yes, he was a high profile client, if you will, you have somebody like that who has death threats, you have contingency plans, you have plan A, B, and however many other plans you need to make sure that you're protecting your principal. Charlie Kirk in the executive protection world would be called the principal. And the principal is supposed to be protected. And you have to have a plan for this principal. Your principal, Charlie Kirk, doesn't want to stop going to these events. So you have to make contingency plans for a guy who's like, I'm not going to let them scare me. I'm going to keep going. All right, we have to come up with a plan for this dude. So now, you have your team with you. You have 1 or 2 guys that are going to attend to him if something happens. Those are the guys that are dedicated to attending to him if anything happens. He gets shot. 2 guys or 1 guy are supposed to administer some kind of medical intervention, while everybody else stands guard and makes sure there's no other threats headed in his direction. They didn't do that. They did none of that. Nobody pulled out any kind of first aid kit or trauma kit. Let me walk that back. Never have a first aid kit. Always a trauma kit. Trauma kit has the supplies you're going to need for an event like that, or a person that is a high risk threat, or at risk of high risk of being threatened. Sorry. And you need like a trauma kit. I'm going to show you what one's going to look like now. So this is what they should have had, something like this. Now, there's a tourniquet on here. This is what the pouch will look like. You can strap this to your belt. This is something that if you have a client or a principal that has that many threats, this is something you want to have. Now, this is the outer case of the kit, if you will. This is what the kit would look like. And you can fit this kit and the tourniquet in the side pocket of your pants, your cargo pants. And inside this kit, this is what it will look like, right? That's pretty much the kit. Now, again, guys, that's something that you would definitely need for somebody like Kirk. So now, once he got popped, no one whipped out a trauma kit of any kind. Supposedly, they were doing CPR on him, but when you are in the medical field, you don't even have to be the medical. Even in executive protection, they teach you how to do a lot of first aid trauma stuff. And with a shot like that, guys, in the neck, the first thing you would have done, or I would have done, was stuff that hole with a lot of gauze if I was going to perform CPR. You can't really perform CPR with a hole in your neck, hit the artery, pushing on his chest, pushing all of the blood out the neck. You stuff it tight. You get as much gauze as you fucking can, and you continue to stuff it in occlusive dressing, and then you can start CPR. Granted, he's most likely dead, but you still do everything you possibly can, so that when you sleep at night, you can go, we did everything we possibly could. Now, outside of that not being done, then again, the guy's not providing any kind of security perimeter around the principal, and then in their infinite wisdom, they decide to pick up somebody who got shot in the neck, where obviously the bullet did hit his spine, just by the way his eyes rolled and his body contorted in, right? So that's a neurological response to your spine getting crushed. All right. So now they lift him up, which you're never supposed to do with a person that got shot, especially like that. You wait for the ambulance. Now, people are asking, why wasn't there an ambulance there? A lot of the times, if not anytime he had an event, he never had the ambulance there. It was just something Charlie Kirk probably opted out on every time he did one of these things. So, of course, when that happened, everybody's like, where's the ambulance? He didn't need it. His security team was supposed to be the medics, the EMTs or whatever, in case he got hurt. They were supposed to be able to do that. Now, apparently the hospital they took him to was a hospital that wasn't equipped for that kind of trauma. Every hospital, guys, has their different trauma gradings. Some hospitals are trauma hospitals, and other hospitals like New York City are not. You will not take a victim who was shot in the neck to a hospital that deals in pediatric. With that being said, the hospital they took Charlie Kirk to was further away. There was a trauma hospital that was closer. So we don't know why they did that. I mean, we know why they did it. But let's just say we don't know why they did it. So that was another fail. They failed all the way around. And some people asking, yeah, but been in a situation? Yes, I have. I have been in at least 2 situations where we had to package a dude who got hurt pretty bad. I'm not going to get into that story, but got hurt pretty bad. And we went through the numbers. We went exactly what we were supposed to do when we're trained when somebody gets hurt. You go through the 1, 2, 3s or the ABCs of treating somebody who was traumatically shot or injured. This is what we do. Second nature comes back to you once you're in that world. And somebody who has a spinal damage, if you will, from a bullet, you treat them like a wet tissue paper. You treat them so gently that you're making sure you're not causing more damage to the neck. Again, though it was a kill shot, you still have to do everything possible to make sure you did it right. And then again, you can go to sleep and say, I did everything right. Now, again, they didn't form a defense perimeter around him, sorry. And then when they moved his body, again, no one pulled out the weapon to make sure there wasn't another assailant on the other end coming coming opposite them or towards them while they were carrying his body to the SUV. So again, nobody had a weapon out, as if they said, "Oh, we know where the shooter is," right? And then he shoots him, and then they go, "Okay, he's gone. Let's," and then they're like, the first thing you do is you pull out, and then you try to find where the shot came from. They didn't even bother. One guy did pop his head over the table to look, but everybody else didn't even bother looking to see where the shooter was or where the shot came from. It was the most bizarre shit in the world. It's like even when Trump got, shot at, whatever, they looked around to see where the shot was coming from, even though one of them was calling out where the shooter was minutes before he got shot. Right, up to like 20 minutes or whatever it was before he got shot. So that whole thing was definitely like the Trump shooting. I don't even want to get into it. It's going to piss me off. But Charlie Kirk's security sucked. Hands down, worst security in the planet. And why am I Monday morning quarterbacking? Because again, I trained in this manner. I've been on enough trauma calls to know how to react when someone gets hit or shot. These guys did nothing. Zero. They were absolutely, and I'm going to say this with my chest out, straight face, they were absolutely in on Charlie Kirk getting marked. Other than that, guys, this is The Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching the Angry Truth channel.